Hello, everyone in our Lotus Chat community, whether you're joining us on our podcast or via YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. And today in this episode of Lotus Chat, we have Zian.
Hello.
And in this episode of Lotus Chat Worldwide, episode 78, we're going to talk about being bold in our skin. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of TikTokers, Instagrammers, and people who talk about what it means to be confident in your skin and the different barriers that sometimes can happen that can kind of close us off from being confident in our skin. Maybe even those things that externally and internally that kind of mute out that, desire to get, to do something, to be bold, to go and take a chance and to really be comfortable in our own bodies. So, Zian, when you think about the question, because this is what I thought about when we were preparing for the episode, is what does it mean to be confident? What does that mean to you?
Okay. So this whole idea of being confident, I feel that it's a process, not a destination. It is something that we need to practice over and over again until we achieve to the state of confidence that we aspire to. So I give you an example. And also I think when you want to practice being confident, you have to do something that you say you're gonna do, even though it is hard. Yeah, so there are a lot of things that we say we're gonna do, but then we don't follow through, and that really breaks confidence. So if you want to gain confidence, you have to do what you say you're gonna do, even though if it's hard. Let me give you an example. I have never done a solo trip, or I've done a semi-solo trip, but not really like a solo trip, And I said that I'm gonna do one. Like internally, I tell myself I should do it, just try it. And then the opportunity arose when I was about to go to a training for Vince communication training. And I have to say, at that spur of the moment, I kind of like back out a little bit. I'm like, oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm busy. I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. And I gave myself so many excuses. And then I realized, no, I told myself I'm going to do this. And I acknowledged that I'm feeling scary, uncomfortable, unfamiliar. So that's why I'm feeling a little bit weird. And I tell myself I have to do it. And I did it. I just came back from Sydney, like a semi-solo trip, and it was the best birthday present ever. Yeah. What about you, Jen? Tell me.
Deanne, I'm glad that you shared that you just recently came back from your own like mini solo trip that you gave to yourself. And that is just a wonderful example of how we can just take that chance to just enjoy ourselves in the moment, and even if it's a little uncomfortable, right? Because of course, the newness of it all, the being on one's own and exploring, right? In a new place, maybe even being around different people. I mean, that is an example of being bold in your skin and just being confident and going with the flow of what's there, right? And I think for all of us out there, I'm sure we can all agree that there's been instances in our life where we've been in uncomfortable situations, where we've been around different groups of people and kind of been like, well, I don't know, should I talk to that person? Should I, to get that person's number? Should I, go to that party that, I've been invited to, but I may not know anybody there, but I only know like one person there. Like I personally have been in situations where sometimes where I'm invited to get-togethers, and I know that the person inviting me did it because they want me there, right? They're inviting me because they want me to be a part of it, to be a part of, let's say, a birthday or some type of celebration. And I know that they're going to be the only one that I know. But every single time I've pushed myself and said, even if this person is going to be, probably, knowing 90% of the people there and they're the only one I know, it's possible that if I go there, I might find somebody else who has common interests with me, or maybe they might introduce me to, friends who then end up becoming my friends. And then it becomes like the whole thing where you're building your network. And as much initially I'm a little nervous and even like, like, I don't know, I still push myself. And that's another example of being bold, like just talking to complete strangers, because at the time they will be strangers, but who knows? They might be people that you just might end up going out with even more later on. So when I think about being confident, it's not only about getting yourself out there to talk to different people. It's also about getting yourself into new experiences, like not just with people, but like as Leanne said, like maybe going someplace you've never been before. Like what if I decide to drive to the opposite side of town and trying a new restaurant, or maybe even trying a new food and having like a solo dinner and just sitting there and having like a dinner by myself. I mean, I think it would be really, I honestly truly admire anyone who's out there and just doing their own thing and doesn't necessarily always need the company.
Mm,
But all in all, I think being bold is really up to the person. Like Deanne said, it's a process. It depends on like your comfort level, but at the same time, try to push yourself beyond that comfort level. And that
mm.
is like the biggest things to being bold. So Deanne, we just spoke about, all right, kind of hinted at some things that can stop me from wanting to go to that party where I only
Yep.
know one person. What are some barriers or obstacles that sometimes hinder us from being bold or confident in our skin?
I think one of the reason is definitely, for me at least, the fear of judgment. The fear of what people might think about me. And specifically, I think one of the ways that I practice getting out of my comfort zone and being comfortable and confident and being bold in my skin is that I deliberately, intentionally go networking alone. Which, when I first did it, it was incredibly scary. Imagine walking to an event and a room full of people, like 1,000 people, and I don't know anyone. And I just walk in and I have to go through the who am I going to sit with, who am I going to drink with, who am I going to eat with, the whole like conversation. And then as I do it more often now, then I realize that it's actually really fun and it's actually not as scary as I thought. And always the goal for me whenever I do things like that is that I really like literally push myself to go and talk to someone that I don't know. And sometimes it ends up to be a really beautiful conversation, and I really appreciate that. And I always believe that whenever I go for networking, the goal is not really to collect name cards or to know 50 people, but really the goal is to get to know three quality people and have three great conversations and then just enjoy myself. Yeah.
Absolutely, Deanne. And it's great that you mentioned that, because one of the things that did come up as you were mentioning this experience you had is the experience of, and it's by far one of the most, I would say, fears that some people have,
Mm,
including myself, which is the public speaking. And I know when it comes to that, it's a work in progress. And like you've heard in other Lotus Chat episodes, I could never imagine I'd be here speaking to all of you out there in Lotus Chat World, podcast world, like I am now. But as Deanne said, it was a process. It
mm,
took quite a bit to get here. And I know that part of me getting here what has helped me is putting myself out there more, not
mm.
only here, but also like in the workplace,
Yeah.
or being bold in that way where I will volunteer to maybe lead a meeting
Mm,
or a team for a project, or I'll volunteer to do like a PowerPoint presentation to a group of people. And it is really like, initially, guys, I had even clammy hands. I used to get a little shaky, and I know that I would even like practice 2 days before the whole entire like spiel, and I'd be like, okay, I need to memorize everything so that I don't, mess up my words when I'm in front of all these people. And it has gotten to the point where I don't need 2 days, where I can just
excellent.
literally take like an hour or two before, look at what I need to present and be like, okay, all right, I got this. So all in all, the one thing I do recommend is practice. As Deanne said, you practice that get yourself into that public speaking mode. You get in front of a mirror, you talk to yourself in front of a mirror and give yourself the speech as if you're giving someone the speech. That's one of the biggest things that I know with some of the trainings I've been in, that they've
Mm,
had me be practice in front of a mirror. It
mm,
really helped me kind of see like my facial expressions, the nuances, the where you make your voice go higher, lower. It really has helped me get stronger in that area. But I'm
mm.
really not where I want to be yet, because of course I'm wanting to improve every day. But for all of you out there, practice makes up to perfect. I'm not going to say perfection because nothing is perfect, but it does get you close. So everyone out there, just continue working at it. Whatever it is that you want to be bold at, whatever it is that you want to take a risk at. If you want to, you know, practice being bolder when you're out there in the dating world and you want to, let's say, you know, try to get somebody's number, practice it. And even if somebody says no, at least you did. And that goes for interviews. If you guys are wanting to get better at interviewing, go on more interviews, even if you know that it's not necessarily something that you may get necessarily chosen for, but the practice of it gets you closer to, you know, really nailing that interview that you really want. So those are just some of the things that I know sometimes may stop us from going there. It's that fear. So Deanne, now that we've talked about like what confidence means and what those barriers could be that can stop us from being confident, the next thing that I wanted to know is like when we talk about being bold, let's say hypothetically speaking, we are in a situation where we have a chance to be bold. What can help push us to take that next step? What should we do in that moment to take that next step?
That's a great question. And by the way, I love everything you shared just now. It's so powerful. And for me, coming back to your question, I think what would definitely push what works for me is that I don't allow my thoughts to linger too long than it should be. So I give you an example. I think last two weeks ago, I had a moment where I thought I could contribute by doing like an ice-breaking session, but it's impromptu and is in front of like 500 people. I've also I've done trainings, but I've never really done like impromptu ice breaking. But then my intention was really just to align with the CEO back then. And he told me that he wants to have fun. And I'm like, sure, let's have fun. And in that spur of the moment, I was kind of presented that opportunity to do this impromptu ice breaking session with 500 people. Was I nervous? Yes. I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? You know, but at that spur of the moment when he asked me, would you do it? And I'm like, sure. You know, I didn't allow that thought to linger more than it should be, because if I let it linger, if I go to a toilet and come back and I say I'll think about it, the moment has passed, and I'll go into my own story of like, I'm not sure what people think about me. Am I overdoing it? Should I be there? What do I say? Do I look stupid? Is my skirt all right? Is my hair okay? You know, like all the thoughts will just pour out to, but just in that spur of moment, I just, no thinking, no lingering of thoughts. Okay, I'll do it. And it's like, okay, you're up in 5 minutes. I'm like, sure. So yeah, my point is, whenever you want to do something new, especially, of course, we have our stories, but don't let what we spoke about just now, our internal stories, be louder than what we're supposed to do, you know?
Oh, I'm so glad you told your own personal story about just taking that chance, right? Not letting those I call it the noise, the
Yes.
internal and external noise that sometimes happens where you're like, oh, I don't know if I should. And how do I look? Oh my God, I haven't practiced. Oh my God, this and that, like all these, oh my gods come. And you're like, can I really do this? Am I the right person? Should I be like pulling somebody in to take my place? Maybe I should just fake being sick and like say, oh no, like I can't do this. I all of a sudden have a stomach ache or something. No, guys, go for it. Try it out. And yes, I know that it can be a little nerve-wracking to be put on the spot, which is, I know like a lot of us can be put on the spot, or if you feel like, oh my God, like if I say this, I'm taking a big risk on expressing myself, on telling somebody how I feel, for example. Like if you guys feel, I don't know if I should, there's nothing that will happen other than you finding out this person either feels the same way you do or doesn't. Now, I know for all of you out there, when the word rejection comes up, it can be quite painful, right? Whatever situation you're in, you're like, I feel this certain way, and it would be sad to not find out this person, you know, mirrors what I feel. But even if it happens that way, the way I've finally realized this, and it's taken me a while to realize this, is that at least I took a chance. At least I took the risk. And I said this quite a few times to myself. I didn't lose anything out of it.
Mm,
I did not lose anything out of being authentic, out of saying things from my heart, out of expressing my honesty and my truth. You do not lose anything being authentically you and expressing yourself. So, for all of you out there, even if you have fears, there are things in your life that can remind you how great you are and why you should be taking that risk for yourself.
mm,
Because you end up learning something, how strong you are, that even if you got a no, it does not mean that the next time is going to be a yes.
mm.
So that is one of the most beautiful things that I myself have realized, that out of all the no's, there will be a yes. And that includes work, that includes that opportunity, that includes that relationship. So remember that as you are being bold in your skin, just understand that no's they will happen, but the yeses are waiting for you. So Zian, do you have any last words for our viewers out there about our topic today?
Yes, definitely. I think in the process of being bold in our skin, it's so important to have fun, like just enjoy ourselves doing whatever we want to do and just, crack some jokes, have some fun, put in some humor because I think life is about having fun. And then when we are being bold in our skin, nobody say we are perfect. I mean, I'm sure we, stutter and flumber and whatever, but does it really matter? Whatever, right? So just have fun.
I love it. Yes, have fun and live your life with no regrets. That's another thing in term that I've learned, because life I mean, we all have a life to live. So live it the way you want to live it. Be surrounded by, surround yourself with great people, with love, with joy, with support. That's
Mm.
another thing that can really help you build your confidence, is when you have the right people around you who are there to cheer you on, even if it's just one person. That is all you need, guys. So again, please reach out to us if any of this has resonated with you, Zian.
Yes, thank you so much for watching. And if you like what you're hearing, click like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on both Lotus Chat Worldwide on YouTube and Spotify. And if you have any topics, we're open to, discuss and banter about your topics. Email us at lotuschatworldwide@gmail.com. So see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.